Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavam Sacha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sacha Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Guru-vaiṣṇava Guru Ganērāṣīṣa Sambhūṣitam Chinta Chinta Samastavedanapanam Shri Rupa Panthanugam Govindabhidam Ujjalam Bhartanam Bhaktyanvitam Sundaram Mande Vishwaguruncha Divya Bhagavad Premnao Hibijpradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandravadanam Balarkachelanchitam Sandranandapuram Sadek Varnam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Shri Siddhantanidhim Subhaktilasitam Saraswatanam Varam Vandetam Shubhadam Madeka Sharanam Nasiswaram Srīdharam Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Gauriya Gurvanvaye Bhato Bhanuriva Prabhat Gagne Yogaura Sankirtanaya Mayavadatimingilodharagatan Udritya Jivaniman Krishna Prema Sudabdigahan Sukham Pradat Prabhum Tam Bhaje Namo Gaura Kishoraya Bhaktavadhuta Murtaye Gaurangre Padma Bhrangaya Radha Bhavam Nishevine Bande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gaura Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radharas Sudhanidhim Gaura Vrajashitashi Shaira Vaishnavaira Vanda Vigraham Jagannatha Prabhum Bande Premabdhim Vriddha Vaishnavam Vancha Kalpataru Bhayascha Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadanaye Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tushe Nama Jayatam Surto Pangor Mamamanda Materagati Matsarvasya Padam Bhojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadha Śrīmad Ratnagara Singhasanastho Shri Gandharva Śrīla Govinda Devo Pristhali Visevyamano Smarami Śrīmanarasa Rasaram Bhivam Śrīvata Tata Sthita Karshana Venu Shanera Gopir Gopinatha Shriyastana Vrindaya Tulsi Devaya Priyaya Keshvasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Sattvatyaya Namo Namo Athnatva Mantra Gurun Guruna Bhavatarthadan Vyasan Jagat Gurun Natva Tato Jayam Mudire Jaya Saparikara Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Pad Padmanam Jayastu Jaya Saparikara Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Jupad Padmanam Jayastu Sakala Vaishnava Pade Moro Namaskar Ithe Kichu Aparadana Kamar Hoya Chena Hoivena Prabhura Jatau Bhaktajan Vandana Koriyami Sabaro Charan Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Sāstang Dandavats Pranam to all the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, exalted devotees serving worldwide at the lotus feet of Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Deva Goswāmī Mahārāj, Om Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srīdhar Deva Goswāmī Mahārāj, and Om Vishnupad Vishwavaranya Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. To all our friends, well-wishers, and sincere seekers, you're welcome to this Saturday morning reading of Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā in the line of Rupa Saraswati Srīdhar Dhara coming to us through Om Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Goswāmī Mahārāj, our Gurudev. This is like a course that has been set up by Ananda Didi and Dandavats to Ananda Didi. Hare Krishna. So she will be with us very soon. She's running around. But we are at chapter 2. We covered verse 40 last time. And so we will begin with verse 41 today. But before that, as we have our regular Kirtan session led by Lavanya Sundari, and today she'll be accompanied by Nanda Kishore Prabhu, who is visiting us. So we will have that. The regular accompanist is in service elsewhere, so whenever they can join, they will join. So
we'll start with pizza.
where is? Okay.
Am I unmuted?
Closer.
Am I muted? We're good. Bhaj Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Bhaj Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Śrī Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma.
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 Bando Mui Sabadana Mate
Mando Mui सावधानते देवाय ए भाव तोरिया जाय
कृष्ण प्राप्ति होय जहाँ होय
कृष्ण प्राप्ति होय जहाँ होय प्राप्ति होय जहाँ
गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्या चित्त कोरियाय को
गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्या चित्त कोरियाय करी मने आशा
श्री गुरु चरणे रति जैसे उत्तम गति
श्री गुरु चरणे रति जैसे उत्तम गति प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा
प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा
प्रसाद पूरे
Sorry.
Good.
Is the family here?
Yeah, they're all.
Is everybody? You just walked in. Wow. Rude.
I know. They're just in there.
We're just doing devotional things, and your son's here. Oh. He's on school break.
If you can sit there for just 2 minutes, I'll just take like.
I can't go in. I got my shoes on.
Then just stand there.
Yeah.
Hold on. प्रभु कर दया दे हमारे पाद छाया
बेजा सुषुप्ति भुवना
बेजा सुषुप्ति भुवना अधमा लोइलु शरणा अधमा लोइलु शरणा शरणीलम हे अभय श्रीपाद पद्मे शरणीलम दया करो है দয়া করো হে
पतित पावन श्री गुरुदेव दया करो है
पतित पावन श्री गुरुदेव दया करो हे
पतित पावन श्री गुरुदेव दया करो है
पतित पावन श्री गुरुदेव दया करो हे
अधम पतिता जने दया करो है
अधम पतिता जने दया करो हे
गुरुदेव 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 जय गुरुदेव
जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव देव जय जय गुरुदेव
जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय सनातनी दीदी की जय हरि बोल
Okay, we'll sing Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, and 2:30. 2:30.
No, it's only okay. Should be enough. I think.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan.
जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan.
जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन
Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
श्री गोविंदा गोपीनाथा मदन
Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
गोविंदा गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन
Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan.
कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन
Kalindi Yamuna Jaya Jaya Mahārāj.
कालिंदी यमुना जय जय महावान
Keshi Ghatavamsi
Nandari.
Jaya Purnamati Jaya Abhiranagari. Jaya Jaya Gopeshwara Vrindavanamār.
Jaya Gopeshwara Vrindavanamār.
Jaya Jaya Krishna Satha Vasudevara.
Jaya Krishna Satha Vasudevara.
Jaya Rama Bhata Jaya Rohini Nanda.
Jaya Rama Bhata Jaya Rohini Nanda.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Basi Jata Jan.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Vasijataram.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Basi Jata Jan.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Vasijataram.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Basi Jata Jan.
Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Vasijataram.
Jaya Dvija Patni Jaya Naga Kanyaga.
Jaya Dvija Patni Jaya Naga Kanyaga.
Bhakti Teja Hara Palo Govinda Charan.
Bhakti Teja Hala Pailo Govinda Charan.
Virasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam.
Rasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam.
Virasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam.
Rasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam.
Jaya Jaya Rasa Lila Sarva Manoram.
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 Jaya Jaya Jala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sar.
Jaya Jaya Jala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sar.
Parakiya Bhav Jaha Bhajete Prachar.
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 Janava Pada Padma Koriya Smaran.
Shri Janava Pada Padma Koriya Smaran.
Shri Janava Pada Padma Koriya Smaran.
Kahe Dīna Krishnadās kahe naam sankirtan.
Dīna Krishnadās kohe naam sankirtan.
Dīna Krishnadās kahe naam sankirtan.
Dīna Krishnadās kohe naam sankirtan.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan.
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 Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai. Hare Krishna. Wonderful ecstatic kirtan. Jai. Glorious. Gaur Hari Bol. So, getting to Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā, we're on chapter 2, verse 41 is where we're going to start reading from. A verse before this that we read last time. Nehavikrānāśo sthirpatyavāyo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trāyate mahato bhayāt. It was Buddhi Yoga that we were talking about in the last verse, and in this verse also. It will continue. So we can chant together. Uh, 41, 42, 43, and 44. So we can do all of them because they're sort of like a same, continuing the same thread. Vyavasāyātmika buddhe ekheha kurunandana bahushākha hayanantascha buddhayo vyavasāyinam yāmimāṃ pushpitāṃ vācam pravadantya vipaśchita vedavāda rata partha jnanadāsti tivādina kāmātmānah svarga parāha janma karma phalapradām kriya vishesha bahulam bhogeshwarya gatim prati Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam tayapa hritachetasam vyavasāyātmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. You will start with you, if it's okay.
41.
O descendant of the Kuru dynasty, resolute intelligence dedicated to me is one-pointed. I am its only objective, but irresolute intelligence is splayed by endless desires for mundane enjoyment.
Abaji.
42. O Parth, unwise persons, not knowing that the chief directive of the Vedas is the attainment of the supreme truth, are fond of interpreting the fleetingly enchanting words of the Karmakand section of the Vedas as ultimate.
I don't know where we are.
That's okay.
43.
But I think we find chapter. You can
Chapter
write down
2.
this. Chapter 2,
Yeah,
and then 43.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's okay. Take your time.
I am taking my time. Let's see, what do we got?
Let's do.
Thank you.
मैं दूसरा पढ़
And Kavirāj.
क्योंकि 44वीं पढ़
उसके बाद पढ़ना।
So it's 43.
The hearts are filled with desires, and their goal is heaven. They advocate the many sacrifices and rituals that yield wealth, worldly pleasures, and high birth.
44. Thus attached to enjoyment and opulence, deluded by these flowery words of the Vedas, they do not attain the resolve to dedicate themselves to the Supreme Lord.
So here, remember last time what we talked about is he's talking at both the within the social religious purview of religion and mundane relativity, and also tending to the absolute. So here he says the knowers of the Vedas, you know, the language and the poetry, they're enamored by that, but that's all outwardly, and that is not the real substance.
Term flowery.
So pushpitam yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanta paschita vedawadrata partha nanyadasti tivadana. And so they get into Vedas so that they can enjoy more and minimize reaction. So they want to remain exploitative, but be scientific about it.
And get the most benefit.
So dharma, arth, kam, and then finally moksha. Those are the four principles, the four purusharth, or what the goals to be achieved by being within the purview of the Vedas. So dharma, rising above animal instincts, getting into some discipline, cultivating religious duties, etiquettes, sacrifices within the Vedic injunctions. So following that, then dharma, then you're actually following religious principles, bona fide religious principles, the Vedic principles. And then as a result of that, artha, then auspiciousness happens and then you prosper. And then when one prospers, then one wants to enjoy. Calm. So one enjoys. And one enjoys, and then finally comes to a point where they understand the cyclical nature of how this is an endless thing that is going on that we're in, and time runs circular. And so we need to get out of this. And then finally they go towards moksha. So dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Those are the four principles within the purview of the four Vedas. And the Vedas instruct you, help you to navigate through all of that. And that's what the majority of Vedic people who know,
Philosophy in general.
that's what, in general, those are the principles that are attractive, and that's why religion seems, something which is very valuable, something that one should do. And yes, it is good. It is something good. It is not bad. But what we have to really keep in mind is good and bad is again part of the mundane, but what we're after is reality. Reality, the beautiful. So that is not within the Vedas as such. So
The Veda's jurisdiction is material world.
Traigunya Vishaya Veda. So in essence, the Vedas are addressing the three modes of nature, Sattva, Rajas, Tama, and helping living entities at that level to navigate expertly the three modes in essence. So however, here some of the things that he brought in, things like Vyavasayatmika buddhi and samadho na vidhiyate. So those who are too attached to bhogeshwarya prasaktanam tayapahata chetasam, and their entire awareness is engrossed into how to exploit and how to enjoy expertly and minimize reactions. So they get attached to that, and so they keep themselves in gross matter, and they don't think they have no reason to think anything else other than that. That's why he's saying they cannot develop that one-pointed, resolute intelligence, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, and they cannot, there's this level that he says samadhona vidhiyate, so which is samadhi. That's what the yogis, they try to attain samadhi, and there are various definitions, explanations, and things of that nature. But to clarify, what this is or what this level is, I've kind of compiled something to help. It's like a document, and by the mercy of Om Vishnu Pad Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Goswāmī Mahārāj, I've, for the benefit of everyone, so that we can learn. I learned a lot putting it together, and so I'm sharing it. I think Lavanya is putting it as a link, so anyone wants to download that. But I'm gonna cover that here in brief also, and then I'll give you, Madhav Prabhu, either print out or however you want it.
Every way I want it.
So So because that background is good, it kind of tells exactly, what this transition is and what to take it as, because there's a lot of misconception floating around, and people explain it in ways and things that have ulterior motives. So to stay cautious of that and stay on track, it's a humble effort, and I'm going to cover that for you. Just soon as I can find out how to. Okay, so I have that. So this Samadhi point, but they call it Samadhi, the Ashtanga yogis, so they go through the various levels of developing their concentration. Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, they do the breathing exercises, and through the breath control, then they go deeper, and then into pranayam, they get to pranavayu, subtle airs, and then from there they try to get more and more subtle. So that's not what we do. Ours is by surrender and the process, the descending process, as we've discussed. But in any case, it's an inflection point in the subjective evolution of consciousness. So that level of concentration and then finally entering into this dimension of Brahma Bhūta is we've been explained as it's an inflection point, which means after that one gets to know our true nature. So the knot of false ego has to go through that adjustment. We're no longer just a physical creature of the physical world. So I'm going to read a little thing that Samadhi is a complete absorption of the purified individual unit of secondary awareness in the plane of elemental aggregate primary consciousness. Okay, so, and that is the Brahma Bhūta plane of elemental primary consciousness, aggregate. That is the Brahma Bhūta plane. Why secondary unit, individual unit? We are all individual units. And why secondary? Because we have come through a process of degradation where the false ego, that knot of false ego has, although that's not what it is, but that's what seems like. It seems like that we're separated from, that aspect. And we have become degraded awareness, exploitative awareness. So that's why I call it the secondary awareness. And then when that is purified through sadhana or the purificatory processes, and that rises to the level where actually it's a mirror effect, and it can actually see the primary purified aggregate consciousness. That state is actually called being fully absorbed in the self. So it's like a mirror, so awareness can actually, or consciousness can directly see and appreciate consciousness. So it's like a mirror that when one sees. And the first verse of Shikshashtakam actually, when we do Harinam, our Harinam practice, but when we get to Shuddhanam, we are told that that's what happens. The Cheto Darpana Marjanam, when it's clean enough, then in the that mirror, then we can see who we are. And as a result of that, bhav mahadavagani nirvapanam. So as a first step, those are the effects of chanting Harinam. So what we see as something which is of a high achievement, highest achievement in yoga and in some other processes, ascending processes, Harinam, that's the first stride that's past. But Shuddhanam as we get towards. Just drawing like a little comparison so we can understand. But so that level, when one understands, so it's a trans-dimensional adjustment of the false ego, because the three modes are transcended, and with the three modes, the space-time aspect is transcended. So we get into this other dimension that we don't have a clue about. But that is our true elemental self. That's our constitutional self. And when one comes in contact with that aspect, then one really understands how superficial and insignificant physicality and everything related to that is in comparison. Does that make any sense?
It's very beautiful, yes.
So, the other thing is that Samadhi can be an event, because they go, okay, well, it's like an achievement for some, and it can also be a state. One can be in the state of complete absorption.
I was speaking when I first started the study of yoga. I was with Yogananda, and his term was the neutralization of the waves of consciousness. That was that was his term. But he also, the end result was a third eye. That's all he got. But nonetheless, first introduction to the great achievement of Samadhi.
Yeah.
No achievement whatsoever.
So it's a stage.
Yes, of course.
It's a stage, but it's not something that what people make it as like the end all be all. It is a state, and Mahaprabhu never denied Brahma Bhūta. None of our acharyas have denied actually Brahma Bhūta stage, but not to be misconstrued as end all and be all. That's the difference. So it's not like denied. There is a hazy phase, there's a peculiar hazy phase where the individual's secondary awareness is identifying with the infinite elemental aggregate consciousness. At that point, there is this haziness, which some people term as that oneness. But then at no juncture does that unit of awareness lose individuality. One can actually stay there and develop further. But that development, that further development has to come externally. Internally, that's the maximum the individual unit, marginally potent entity can be at. No further. So then the adhoksaja and the aprakrita planes, then they extend either service connection through the acharyas, as we have some service and we're connected. Now that potential that they give us is actually acquired potential. That's not a constitutional potential. So service that we are granted is not like our this will take you to as good as you can be. Service is not that. Service goes way beyond that. So the adhoksaja and aprakrita plane, I've talked about that also in here. They extend help downwards. And that's Mahaprabhu's, that's what he does. So from that aprakrita he's giving us access to. Aprakrita is the highest plane, the subtlemost plane. From that he's giving us access. As far as our individual constitutional potential is concerned, it's way beyond that. So only by Sharnagati, only by taking ashraya, we can proceed after taking shelter of that higher energy that is afforded to us in one way or another. Then we can go up all the way. That's the only way to go beyond the aparoksha plane. So this plane of direct, coming to the direct, the elemental aggregate consciousness plane, that's called the aparoksha level of experience or knowledge gathering. Beyond, after that, beyond that, we are explained is adhoksaja, where there's more developed consciousness, and then after that, finally, the fifth level is aprakrita plane. So, as background, this may put it in perspective. As far as the individual secondary unit, as we are, our awareness, Shastra gives us, we have 4 levels of awareness. So, starting from wakefulness, which is called being Jagrat. Dandavats Sharnangi Didi. No.
Lost track.
Hare Krishna. So 4 distinct states of awareness. First is wakefulness, being Jagrat. Second is dreamful sleep, Swapnavastha. So that's when we're dreaming and we have various dreams and everything. Number 3, third level is called the dreamless deep sleep. It's called Sushupti. And then 4th level of awareness is called Turiya. This is the state where the aparoksha experience with non-dual knowledge begins. The Turiya level of awareness. That's the 4th one. And it develops and further refines under shelter. So, I've talked about all of these different aspects in this, like the 5 distinct experiential planes, the experiential adjustment of perspective, aparokshanubhuti, adjustment from the perspective of functionality. Functionality-wise, the observer, the object and the act of observation actually converge into non-duality at the aparoksha level. So that Samadhi level, this is what happens. Here in the space-time construct, this is how things happen. Like there's the subject, there's the object, and the act of observation. So you take it up to the aparoksha level, they all come into consciousness, pure consciousness is one point. So this is a more sophisticated way of gathering knowledge or experience. So this experiential plane is more sophisticated than the current plane that we are on, which is called the Prakrita plane, where our senses are engaging with the objects of the senses, getting the data, and then we are analyzing it. Then if we read a book, for example, then through the book, if someone is explaining something, then we can tune into that. And through that, we can gather experience. That's at the level of mind and intelligence, that is paroksha gyan. So someone else experienced, but we're gathering that by the secondary level. We're always in your way, Ajit Prabhu.
That's all good.
So, and then after the paroksha is the aparoksha. Then after aparoksha, adhoksaja plane, where Lord Narayan and his various planets are there, and service, again, full variegatedness is manifest. That's the other side in the spiritual sky. And then that's awe and reverence level, adhoksaja. And then finally it's the sweetness, all sweetness. That's the fifth, aprakrita, which resembles the prakrita plane, but it is devoid of all the misconceptions, dualities, and all the dirt and the deficiencies that are present in the prakrita plane. That is the aprakrita plane. So it's almost 360 degree. But if someone tries to see it directly, then one thinks, oh, that's exactly like what happens to me. But factually, it is like 360. It is that different. So Shyama Sundar is actually like that, and we're at the prakrita plane, and we're thinking, oh, that's very human. But that's like, that is a prakrita. So I just wanted to share this with you so that you can have it if you want, and this document, and it'll always keep your perspective, my perspective, absolutely clear. When
So have you published anything yet? This might be your first.
I've written something on time, but it's not published.
What is that document, bro?
I just put together like about the inflection point Brahma Bhūta, because that's widely misconceived, and persons talk about Samadhi, and especially the yogis. And so I put together the various levels of experiential planes that exist, that we have. And then also in the Brahma Bhūta, like in Samadhi, what exactly is happening, it's not something that cannot be described. So it's just an inflection point in the subjective evolution. So we study it for what it is, and so
It's like in this day and age, when Prabhupada came, no one knew anything about Krishna consciousness, pretty much, in the West. So it was kind of a level of innocence and lack of contamination on that perspective. But now, I mean, he came and opened the floodgates, and now there's so much misconception of what pure Krishna consciousness is. Kirtan has become a performance act.
yeah.
It's really.
Follow the money. Follow the money.
Something like that. So it's a humble thing
hard
that.
to tell what's real.
So
We're so fortunate to have.
So inspired by this and with the association, so I thought that what we discuss, I'll share with the family, and so we can all build on it, and we can see it and for what it is.
It's nice to have the ammunition when it comes up.
Exactly.
Because for me, my brain doesn't hold on to it. So I'm not going to be able to just pull it and say, oh yeah, it's this. It's like, but if you have something you can refer to or share
Yeah.
if
So
the person's sincere and wants to know?
that's the reason why I brought it, and I thought it would be necessary and important because like I was talking to Madhav Prabhu before you came in, is like even the yogis, they talk about this as like the highest achievement. And in our conception, actually, it is by one of the first, actually the first strides when we're like chanting Shuddha Nam, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So this is kind of like at that stage of, in the first stride, it takes care of it. But in perspective, you know, it is what it is, and Mahaprabhu never denied Brahma Bhūta plane. That's also a misconception. Outside Krishna consciousness, they sometimes go, well, you deny oneness, so therefore we deny, you know. Oh, so well, you know, Mahaprabhu harmonized. Achintya Bheda Ved. He always tried to harmonize. He never said that there's no Brahma Bhūta. There is this hazy phase. I've covered that. The initial hazy phase where the secondary awareness purifies, goes through the purificatory processes, sadhana, then it can actually see the primary aggregate elemental consciousness, and that's like a mirror effect. So Cheto Darpana Marjanam, so when you clean that enough, then it's a natural thing that one can see that aspect of us. So, and then continue, but then with that the ego also adjusts, because that's like a trans-dimensional change, and so the false ego that's been working all this while, just making us believe all the time that physicality, this physical world is all in all, it doesn't exist no more the way it was. And so there's like transformational adjustments that are happening on the way. And so I've tried to cover that as objectively as possible. Objectively cover subjectivity. But
it's kind of a segue, whatever. How would you translate the name Paramadvaiti?
what was that?
Paramadvaiti, how do you translate that in English?
Paramadvaiti. Dvaiti I can understand as Dvitiya, if that's what you... Paramadvitiya, so Dvitiya means two, and Param means ultimate.
If there's, I'm trying
Dvaiti.
to remember exactly the term of the Goswāmī Mahārāj. I have one of his talks, and he's telling of this circumstance where Guru Mahārāj gave the name Paramadvaiti, and asking for the translation. This is where I'm not perfect here in my recollection, but something to the effect of supreme oneness or something like that.
Parama Advitiya. So that would be Advitiya.
Okay, my pronunciation.
So Dvitiya is two, Advitiya is...
Okay. And as Goswami's telling it, that's supreme oneness. I mean, however he worded it, and they're like, is that her? You know, do we believe in that? You know, kind of thing, you know, like, what? And then he explained about Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna combined.
Yeah.
We do believe in supreme oneness. It's
So,
Mahaprabhu.
Parama Advitiya.
Yeah. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I apologize for not having the proper recollection of the choice of words, but So reminded me what you said.
Hare Krishna, yeah.
We do believe in it
Yeah.
in a certain way, with a certain explanation.
So that's Paramadvitiya. So that's why and then I also covered, the five distinct levels which we talked about, all the way from Pratyaksha, Paroksha, Aparoksha, Adhoksaja, and Aprakrita. The four distinct states of awareness for us, for secondary units of awareness as we are going through our experience. So we come across these four levels: wakefulness, dreamful sleep, dreamless deep sleep, and then the fourth is called Turiya, or that is transcendence. So the non-dual knowledge, Advaya Gyan, actually begins from the Aparoksha level. The non-dual knowledge begins from there. So those four verses, this was something that was covered in there. The resolute intelligence, how does intelligence get to that level of concentration and polarization? I mean, what exercises are done? This is a descending process that we have, and by taking shelter of the holy name of what we've been given by Sri Guru, that is how we proceed. And it, step by step, all these things are coming to us. So, because people talk like, oh, that sadhu got samadhi, and then this, and then that, and that's the ultimate. But in totality, when we see, it's an inflection point, yes, but this is not our focus as such. Our destination actually is at the Prakrita plane, Golok Vrindavan. So beyond this point, also another important thing was that the intrinsic capability, or you can say our, as marginally potent entity, we don't have any jurisdiction beyond the Adhoksaja plane. I mean, beyond the Prakrita plane. I'm sorry. Not a Prakrita. Aparoksha. So, beyond the Brahma Bhūta plane, beyond because that marginal spaces where we're Tatastha Shakti, and Tatastha means marginal. So as constitutionally pure, that's our intrinsic potential. Growth beyond that, or movement beyond that, then that either has to be a service connection with the higher plane, or some sort of help that is coming from there. So Mahaprabhu is like coming all the way from the Aprakrita plane at the highest, and then taking us. So that puts in proper perspective of what people think it to be versus what it is. Another thing that we were saying was that, the Bhakti Marga, or by Bhakti, and then Bhakti actually is not possible without Sharanagati. Sharanagati, or taking shelter, is a must. So then when we were talking, then one thing came up is, Arjuna in the second chapter, before getting any instruction from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, he surrendered. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam, he said that. It's a famous verse. I'm confused about what is right or wrong. I have, my mind cannot think clearly. Now you instruct me. As a student, I surrender unto you. So consider me a surrendered soul. And then the conversation developed. So then, in the 18th chapter, why does Krishna bring up that surrender again? He says, Sarvadharmāna parityajya māmekam saranam vraja. When he's already surrendered. One aspect is to think in that way, is because if he's already Saranagat, this should be Saranagat, then why is he bringing up that topic again? 7th chapter, he says, but not directly, Yogam Yunjana Madashraya. But in 18th chapter, that's a famous verse. Māmekam Sharanam Vraja. You remember that?
I couldn't quote it, but yes, I've heard it many times.
So take exclusive shelter, come to me, and don't worry about, give up all conceptions of religion. But so why is he repeating that? Arjuna's expressed like completely that. See, because Saranagati is not, we're used to concepts that are unidimensional. So we were given a task, we do it, and it's complete. That's what we're used to. Saranagati is not like that. So for Saranagati, going through the process, you need to surrender also. To get into the culture of Saranagati, to actually go through the process Saranagati, you have to surrender, the act has to come. So it's not one-dimensional. That we just think, okay, well, he's a surrendered soul. Because if you go through Shastra, if you go through teachings, you'll find occasions where it's mentioned as an act. And then other places, it's like a whole process. For the 9 processes, what is the final process? The 9 processes of Bhaktī: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. But to begin with, Bhakti cannot begin without surrender. So why is that again? You see? So it's not unidimensional. So in association, then we can reflect upon these intricate points and then refine that. It's
such a lifelong process. Lifetimes. Because it's like surrender, it's like you have to have your faith. If you have faith that the Lord's hand's behind everything, everything's good, it's all for His purpose, then with that faith we can surrender. But when things are difficult, and our faith is challenged, or our ego is slapped, and then we forget that the Lord's even there, and that that's my real job, is to surrender and do what He wants. So this is so important. Remind each other constantly.
And one important thing about surrender that we talked just yesterday was what came up was the fact that it really properly we're situated in that culture when we truly understand we're not the doer. And so somewhere around where this one pointed, where it's the attention, our attention is so polarized and energized in the direction of the center that our false ego actually adjusts to the fact that this physical reality is not all in all. But it's natural. It's not something that one aspires for separately. But I'm just highlighting it. So when that there's a verse in that, because it came up, and then I was quizzed by Lavanya and Abba and Nandakishore. What could be, so, how, I said, so well, but activities still go on. So how do you reconcile that? How do you harmonize that if you're not the doer? So then that verse came, then I gave them that verse, and Nandakishore, when he read, he smiled and said, see, that's perfect. It doesn't even need any explanation. Prakrite kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasha. Ahankar vimūಢātmā kartāhumiti mannate. So because of false ego, I'm thinking actually activities are going on by the three modes of nature. Prakriti is carrying that. All those activities by the agency of the three modes of nature. And we're implicating ourselves because of the false ego. Ahankar vimūಢātmā says the foolish. I'm thinking I'm the doer. So, when that is reconciled and that is harmonized, then we're well situated. So it's all graded, but it's all in levels, but some essential milestones and areas that we can highlight as we go along.
Sometimes it feels like we get glimpses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And in association more so, as far as I'm, that's when I feel that there's real inspiration, there's real katha, there's real.
And it's hard. It's like when you do something and you create, like I could sew for the day, so create an outfit. It's like my time, my energy, my thoughts, my so much of myself went into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky to see that all abilities to do that came from Gurudev because he asked me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And with that instruction came the ability. And I forget that from time to time. Every once in a while, I've literally come in here and seen them wear something. Where did that come from? Where did that decoration come from? And I had to remember, I actually did that with my hands. But it was like, that was just like a little glimpse of you're not the doer.
That's truly, by service, that's reality, you're getting that. And see, that service.
But that's like a glimpse.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not like that.
Yeah, no.
Live there someday.
That's how it is. That's how beautiful it is. And so all of that, we're not doing yoga, we're not doing breath control, but they have that such a strong service connection through that. All of these realizations, all of these things, are flowing, and then one can, like, you can spot them, you can see them.
I really firmly believe that responsible service is like a lifeline. Whatever degree it is, if it's one thing you do regularly, consistently, to the best of your ability, that will save you, it'll lift you, it'll...
All the way, it'll take you all the way.
I believe that.
The toll and the ticket.
Yeah. Jai. That's all in all.
That's all in all.
That's how beautiful our descending process is. Not to worry about, not have to, consciously breath control or do the.
And then you have to balance it with, like, not to do someone else's. Like I slip into, like, well, why aren't they doing it like this, and why,
Yeah.
a judgmental thing, or some kind of criticism coming into your mind, and it's like, the Lord's hand's behind it.
That is also sweet, though.
It's like if you can tell.
That it could be sweet, it could be weird.
Yeah, bittersweet.
But it's like if you can help in some way to help a person improve or do something in a positive way. But if it's like you have to, like, identify, is this my ego?
It's
And it's hard to remember. It's hard to even think like that.
It's to put ourselves out there, and if there is reception, then by reception, then one can understand, okay, then there is something, or if it's just the ego, then it'll be apparent that this was sorry.
I mean, really, sometimes it feels like your ego's just a layer of skin. It's so embedded. You don't identify it, and you're just reacting.
Most of our actions are actually reactions.
Yeah.
So that's actually right. We're like, oh, why did you do that? Oh, because they did that to me, so I did this. It's like, so, but yeah,
That's when it becomes important to remember what's what, who's who.
a little bit. And we can offer service to others as we're connected, like you can engage others and then have others come in. So that's how it kind of cascades out and provides so much of service potential and so many avenues for people to come in and participate and then glorify. So then,
There's a work ethic, and then there's seva.
yeah.
And seva is another world. It's
Mhm.
not, it doesn't go by the old rules at
No.
all. And this is so beautiful. Because this seva is laced with affection. And that makes it desirable. And that makes it where you get hungry for it. And then you know you're hooked.
See, actually, that these activities are actually to do with your Shuddha Hankar, with your correct ego, corrected ego. In the entire system as it works. So even that corrected ego is not entirely complete. That has to fit into the overall workings, the intricate workings of that world. So that's the highest potential that's being represented in the seva that one gets. And then it's just a question of time how that gap closes up, depending on how urgent and how intense the engagement is of that particular unit or units, and then that gap closes up. Hare Krishna. Jai Parameshwar Prabhu.
Jai, jai, jai.
So, that's why I put that together, and so we can all share it, and we can have that as notes or some document like, okay,
And
this
so
has been
It's
covered.
going to be on the site here.
Yeah, and I'll get it to you also. If you do, you have an email or something that you
I
have?
don't know how to do email.
That's okay. We can give print it out. We'll print it out.
To my Facebook page.
Yep.
Okay,
Be very nice.
Perfect.
Thank you. Because I have others that will grab it off of there.
I can do that.
So we'll do that. Because Ananda, she offered it as a course. So I'm like, well, we used to get notes and little cheat sheets. So
When the test will drop.
so we get that.
We can
Close-
definitely
थोड़ा
use
सा-
for the quiz game.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. But that was the only reason that I had, and so much of misconception and different things that exist. So just to close that gap and to not have the mind fly into these imaginative things and what people say and what people do. This is what we have. But so we can pause here if you want and then continue next time, or you want to cover some more verses. How would you like to?
I think Vimala is going to be doing arcade here pretty quick.
So I think then we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're ready.
This morning I had a headache, so I was a little bit off my time, but
Jai Nam. Jai Bimla Didi ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad. Śrīla Bhaktī Sundar Govinda Dev Goswāmī Mahārāj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad. Śrīla Bhaktī Rakshak Srīdhar Dev Goswāmī Mahārāj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishwarena Śrīla Bhaktī Swaṁ Prabhupada ki Jai. Śrī Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda ki Jai. Seva Vrinda ki Jai. Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Śrī Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki Jai. Śrī Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Soquel ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Jai Ram. Ki Jai.
Jaya Balavanika and Nandakshar Prabhu ki
Jai.